So I would like to introduce to you our wonderful speaker today. So we have Caro. Now, Caro McCourtie, she's an executive coach and motivational speaker and a breast cancer survivor. Now, Caro has over 30 years of international business experience and has faced both the highs and lows of leadership, emerging from her 2022 cancer diagnosis, which she's going to share with you some of her resilience and practical wisdom. So Caro's journey is a testament to transformation and strength. So she's engaging and fun, and honest speaking style will leave you feeling valued and empowered. So she's going to share with you her personal experiences and offer actionable strategies for other people going through the cancer journey. So Caro, thank you for joining us today. Really excited to have you here. And
Thank you.
I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And hello to everybody. What I'm going to be speaking about today is my experience through both active treatment and also recovery. And yes, my experience is breast cancer. I do believe that what I'm sharing is relevant for whether you're male, female, whatever sort of, cancer that you are currently going through or you're in recovery from. I've started off with that picture there because believe it or not, the picture on the left with the long hair was taken only a couple of weeks before my diagnosis. It was a headshot, and I'll explain why I was getting those done. Middle one is when I was in the full throngs of active treatment, AC, and not a hair left on my body, except for actually, curiously, my arms, but nostril hair, everything went. And then the one on the right is actually when I was doing radiation and my hair was starting to grow back. So just a background on me. Like Rachel said, I do have 30 years experience as in corporate world and on my own business and entrepreneur. I'm a leadership and executive coach and speaker and author. And I'll talk about I had a health and wellness business and owned that, and also brand and digital marketing and copyright and copywriter and content writer. Having said all that, the role that I am actually most proud of is caregiving. I returned to New Zealand in 2014 to become primary caregiver for my late father, and then when he passed on, for my late mother. And that truly was the most harrowing and yet rewarding. I'm so grateful that I've had that opportunity, and it felt like a career role where you really need to take leadership and also advocate. And I knew nothing about for my parents, the public health system, and I certainly learned a lot. And I think that may have helped me as I navigated through my own cancer experience. Now, just prior to diagnosis, my health and wellness business that I loved, and I thought it was my business for the rest of my life, imploded after 4 years. And my business partner, this was their words, claimed that they were going through a midlife crisis and just wanted to walk away, which they did. And so professionally, I was facing, just before diagnosis, starting again. Then, within around the same time, you can see Jasper on the right there, one of my beloved cats. He just skipped an evening meal and his breakfast, and I thought, oh, it's a furball. He just needs a bit of help. But sadly, it was terminal bone marrow cancer, and that shot's my farewell to him. Had to make that difficult decision. And then, as they say, things come in threes. And the week that I was due to launch my executive coaching, so I decided that I was going to really go back into what I truly love, which was coaching. And I was also coaching with the health and wellness business. I was due to launch that week, and that was when the instant that my life changed on November 2nd, 2022. I didn't have a lump. I had intermittent burning, and I thought it was that my crop tops were too tight when I was on my yoga mat. And it was actually thanks to Dr. Google, who said, look, don't worry, it's likely to be neuropathy, but just go to your GP in case. So I thought, okay. And luckily the GP was onto it, and they implored me to not wait for the public system, but actually self-fund a ultrasound. To get the ultrasound done, I had to have a mammogram and 3D mammogram in that same appointment. And what is pretty scary is in that appointment where the radiologist found a 7 centimeter weird looking shape, my mammogram and 3D mammogram were absolutely clear. What they diagnosed was an estrogen loving breast cancer. And when I hear that, I had a nurse describe to me, it's like, it feeds on estrogen. And I imagine that Hungry Enzymes Drive commercial from my childhood of that. So that helps me understand more about my cancer. And at that point, the ultrasound and MRI showed that the lymph nodes were okay. So I was facing one and done, and that's me post mastectomy and reconstruction surgery, high as a kite and very, very thirsty. Just going to take a brief sort of like pivot there about dense breast because it's something I knew nothing about apart from I did know from my time living in Sydney that I had dense breast, but I had no idea what that meant health-wise. There is a growing movement, thankfully, around the globe, and New Zealand and Australia are still to catch up. What I've since learned is that I have 4 to 6 times the increased risk of getting breast cancer, that the cells, there's more cells, so more opportunity for them to turn cancerous, and that, I hadn't looked at other women's mammograms. It's a sea of white. I thought that was normal. No one, if anything, when I used to go for those mammograms, they'd more complain because I made their life difficult to get a picture. But I didn't realize then that, cancer essentially was hiding in plain sight because it was only 15 months before my diagnosis that I had had a mammogram and it was all thumbs up, all clear. So the second time that my life changed was on November the 11th. And November the 11th is when I had the mastectomy reconstruction. Pathology results, and I learned that pathology has the final say, told me that of the sentinel nodes that were resected, 5 out of 5 had cancer. So even though the ultrasound and MRI showed they were clear, pathology has the final say. And I also had cancer in the inframammary tissue, which is bra line. So I was then facing what I call full Monty, which is a portacath, which is pictured there after I got that done. 5 months chemo, it was AC, which is the red devil, and paclitaxel, more surgery to remove the lymph nodes and inframammary tissue, 3 weeks radiation, and 10 years estrogen stripping meds. And again, because my breast cancer feeds on estrogen. So the surgeon's words to me were that I was facing the fight of my life. And as part of that, their medical team's advice, because I was self-employed and starting again, they really strongly recommended I did not work. I was forewarned that my treatment was going to be very brutal, necessarily so, because they were telling me it was both a treatable cancer but aggressive. So for me, I was thinking, how the hell am I going to make this all work? How am I going to get through what they call a brutal treatment, become cancer-free, which was my goal, and also not work or earn any money for a year? So it was, it was a lot, and for you just feel it all happens so quickly. There's a sense of numbness as you're going through this. So what worked for me was these 4 tenets, and it's not like I sat down and, brainstormed with myself what they'd be, but they just came to me. And this was very much my guiding light through it. And it was to feel no shame, to say yes to everything, to find the joy, and also celebrate the milestone. So I'm going to be talking about those 4 tenets and how they worked for me and how they may work for you, whether you're in active treatment or in recovery. So with Feel No Shame, I was absolutely determined from the beginning that I was not going to feel any shame about the changes to my body at all. It was like, the mastectomy reconstruction. I'm somebody that I did actually like my breasts beforehand, really happy with them. Didn't even have a chance to mourn the farewell because it was all happening so quickly. And, I saw that the reconstruction was a solution and would give me a look that I still wanted. Having said that, I was also forewarned through, given I needed the full Monty, that after the second surgery, this is the surgeon's words, was going to disfigure the breast, and then they also warned me after radiation. So at the beginning when I had the surgery, again, thankfully, the breast surgeon warned me that it was going to sit up very high. And I'm glad that he did warn me that, because it was like sitting up here on my neck. And he didn't actually appreciate the joke that my sister and I found quite funny. It was like pin the tail or pin the boob on the woman. It was so high, and it did, drop. But at that point, we named her Big Bertha. Then after the second surgery, it was Tiny Tina, and unfortunately now she's microscopic Mabel. So I actually have to wear a pad in my, which is an irony, on my implant side. Not happy about it. I am in the public system to see what we can do for symmetry. So again, I feel no shame about that, because this is, this is all what was needed to save my life. So that's why I'm open about it, also, is to hopefully inspire and support other people with what you're going through. Plus, and this really does, I'd like to use a swear word with this, it really, really bugs me that there's too many stories of how partners say that they're no longer attracted to, and this is not just for breast cancer, and that, it can be very easy to say, oh, you dodged a bullet, but it's not for the person going through that. So again, it's about feeling no shame with not being able to work. That was a tricky one, and needing to accept help. And also feeling no shame with mental health support. So I was just really clear. I wasn't going to feel bad about, what was happening to me, or that I needed help. And for ourselves, whether we're going through active treatment and recovery or just in general life, every one of us is imperfectly perfect. So I say, let's own that versus try and hide and be something, that we think we should be. We are fine and wonderful as we are, and invest in getting to know, like, and trusting ourselves. It's worth the investment to do that, and know that we're more than our physical appearance, and we're also more than our achievements. Who we are as the person that we are is what shines most brightly. And be open to support, physical, financial, mental health. There is no shame in needing help. And that's whether you're in, active treatment and recovery or in life. I've reached out again in recovery, and I'll talk more about recovery. It's not a walk in the park either. And I have reached out to get some more mental health support around that. Those are pictures of my remaining cats there, because cats don't feel any shame at all. So the second one was saying yes to everything, and that's pictures of my sister Kathy, who was very much my primary support person. And I said yes to all the support offered. I had no idea what I was facing and what I was, like, you don't know till you're in it. And it's a huge learning curve. So I just said yes to what was offered. So what the medical team was offering, what the breast cancer Look Good, Feel Better, Cancer Society, Dove House, I just signed up for everything, said yes to everything. Family, their offers of health, I said yes to. Friends. And how that looked for me was like the Look Good, Feel Better trainings and webinars were absolutely incredible. I did every one I could pre going on to the full Monty treatment. So, what to expect when you lose your hair, wigs and scarves, your skin, everything. And, that was just such a huge help. The driving service for radiation from the Cancer Society, family and friends driving me to appointments, counseling. I didn't know whether I'd need it, but I signed up for it, and I'm very grateful I did. Physiotherapy, very essential after both surgeries, and I still get physiotherapy because I still have things going on in that area. I said yes to food parcels when friends would text and say they've got a meal, could they bring it round? Coffee catch-ups when I was well enough. And I also got through the social worker at the public health system some cleaning for a short time, and I said yes to that. So for ourselves, it's really like we have one life right now. So really say yes to what is offered to us, as long as our health and safety is not compromised. Resist saying no because, we don't want to be a bother, or like now in recovery, we feel that we, should be okay, we should have it together, or we're worried about what we may owe somebody if we say yes, or we just think that we need to white knuckle it, we don't deserve it, or we might not like what they're going to do, or we feel shame about that. So those pictures on the right-hand side, just to add to everything there, what I was going through, and this was in AC. My place got flooded twice, and on the second time I had to evacuate, and I was hoping that wouldn't be the case. And I remember from I had AC the next day, on the day that morning that I had to evacuate. So I was up, hourly, actually I think more, checking to see whether the same rooms had flooded, which was my bedroom and bathroom. And unfortunately at 4 o'clock they had. So I rang my sister at 6 o'clock in the morning, and her and my brother-in-law came in. He took the cats to the cattery. She and a friend packed up my stuff because I had to stay with her for a couple of weeks. And I still made it into the chair that day. And I'm so grateful for that help. And have to say, I was pretty frazzled, very, very frazzled. So really, I'm so grateful for saying yes. It opens doors, it opens eyes, it opens minds, and it opens heart. And it really helps us because it provides solutions to what we're going through. Finding the joy. So what we're going through, what we've been through, what we're going through, I call it a shit sandwich, because it well and truly, is pretty heavy. And I received 2 diagnoses. The first I thought was eye-watering and life-changing, and then the second one made the first one seem good in comparison. And as those of you that are going through active treatment, it's hard. It comes with a raft of unpleasant side effects. I think for some reason, even though my optimistic side thought I might not get them, I seem to get, like I got horrible mouth ulcers, my face, I had an allergic reaction to my chemo. It's just, the nausea was off the charts, and we couldn't get the meds right. Took a while to do that. So it's, as it's not fun. There's nothing nice or easy about it. And I really look at it as being as much a mental health process as it is about our physical health and working towards being cancer-free. So for me, and I suppose my personality type, I needed to find some light and find some joy in what was a pretty heavy situation. And, I then actively sought and made choices to lift up my spirit and find the joy. One of the first things I did, and I remember I was talking to a dear friend in Sydney, and she's sadly going through her second bout of cancer of the appendix, which is similar to bowel cancer, but it doesn't have as it's pretty dire what she's faced with. So at this point, she had 6.5 years of being in doing well and being cancer-free. But she told me about clinical exercise physiologists, and I Googled and found out that they were here, and they were actually at Auckland University. So I went to those. My capacity was dramatically reduced, but my goodness, it just helped me so much, again, mentally as much as physically. I'd done the research, and keeping active as we can, is known to clinically help us. And I like that I had these, it was win-win for me. So it was a double joy that I was getting to exercise, and I was also getting to help students who were in their Masters of Science to become clinical exercise physiologists to get their degrees. So it was just absolutely wonderful. Catch up with family and friends when I was well enough. The one here on the bottom left was me. That was actually the first time I went out with my wig, and friends took me out because after the floods, I was pretty frazzled, and the medical team gave me an extra week. I was on dose dense AC, and they gave me an extra week, and I was feeling well enough to go out. And my friends, took me out and shouted me. And I remember they said to me, they go, "Oh, you've got to name your wig." I said, "Oh, okay, all right." And they said, "What about Pamela Anderson?" And I just said, "Well, I've only got one fake boob, so she's got to be Pammy." So Pammy was my wig that went, I mainly wore Pammy when I was out in the evening. The top right is a friend's significant birthday. I've always liked to dance. I really didn't have the energy for it, but my friends insisted, and I was holding on to that railing for dear life. And it was just wonderful to have some sense or feeling of normal, even though I was far from it. And then the bottom right is with a dear friend of mine, and that was just shortly before starting radiation. So again, those moments really helped me find the joy. And I do like my French bubbles. Again, I didn't drink my way through treatment, but when I was well enough, that certainly helped, and that was fully supported by their oncologists who said that, really, you have to live. So how can we find joy? How can you find joy in your life, whether you're going through treatment or in recovery or just every day? Is, again, as we know, life can be tough, really tough, and we've all faced our own shit sandwiches. I actually, we've all been through lots of shit sandwiches, I'm sure. And, they may differ. And if they're different to mine, if yours is different, none of them are any less serious. It's not a, pecking order. It's all full on for all of us. So, we may not choose what happens to us. How we respond, we have a choice in that. And that is what can define our experience. Finding joy, finding lightness doesn't make what's going on any less intense or serious. And, it really helps our mental health to overcome this huge shit sandwich that we're having to digest. And, it does also, finding joy helps us give us some fuel to build up our reserves, to build up our resilience. So, I always ask, like, where could you, I ask myself this, where could I be finding more joy? Where could you be finding more joy now? The pictures on the left there, this was as I was going through radiation, I got to be part of the Friends of Augustine, which is a favorite fashion brand for me. And again, that brought me so much joy. And it happened just before the radiation and the horrible, horrible fatigue that brings on kicked in. Celebrating milestones. Well, yes, it marries into Find the Joy. And again, huge mental health support. I'm a big mental health support advocate. It also marked each step of the massive 12 months plus timeline. I think it was 30 months of active treatment that I had. And it brought me one step closer to being cancer-free. Now, most of these milestones were actually not uplifting by any means. And by having what I call my milestone mafia around me really helped me process it, helped me get through what I was going through. So first diagnosis, that's there with my two of my friends there, and unfortunately, he is terminal with bowel cancer. Their generosity with all they're going through just blew me away. They bought a big bottle of porridge. I used to work on that brand years ago when I worked in the liquor industry. The top right is with my sister and I. So both trips I paid for a private oncologist as recommended by the surgeon, and then went into the public oncologist. So the first oncologist was like so heavy, what we were told, with it, there was just no light or let up, and it was pretty heavy. This one's from the second, and I thought I was well prepared when I went to see the public oncologist. And I'd been told my stats are not stats that I love by any means. It's 58% 10-year survival rate. And that had plummeted from, I think I was, high 80s, but because I got that second diagnosis. And I'd had friends and family say to me, well, Caro, you're fit and healthy, so it could be more like this. So I said to the oncologist, I said, oh, is that the case? Could it be more? She correctly and very dryly said, look, I can't tell you what side of the 58 you're going to be on. And that was the first time that death was put on the table, that, I could do, and I remember I asked her this question, I could do everything that you're recommending and I could still die. And she was like, yes. So that was huge. And again, just having my milestone mafia around me really, really helped. When my I had to go through my hair falling out. That was, we all have different approaches. My sister said if it was happening to her, she would have shaved it off to begin with. Other people, I was told not to try cool capping. It wouldn't work for the AC. So I, between the first and the second AC, it started to come out in clumps. I'd been advised that it would come out in wisps, but it was huge clumps and so much, and my scalp was just becoming so tender. So my hairdresser, who I've been going to for 10 years, she said she'd come in. I had friends round and we had a beautiful ceremony. Everything was recorded. And, again, I was so pleased that I did that because I've had long hair all my life and I, loved my hair and, it was a pretty full on. So it was, a happy, sad occasion. I did a playlist and James Blunt, Goodbye, My Lover, Goodbye, My Friend, and was my choice to say goodbye to my hair. Middle shot was after active treatment, and that was just again my friends there, and I had other friends and family. So not active treatment, sorry, chemo. Then on the right middle is when I got told after the second surgery that I was cancer free, and then the final active treatment there are my sister and my two nieces. So again, none of those are happy clappy events, but it really, really helped me. So for yourselves, they're just some other photos of as I went through the hair shaving. Celebrating milestones actually brings people, together. It's, whether it's family, your friends, your colleagues, and I think it's really important, again, whether we're going through cancer, whether we're in recovery, whether we're in life and we're in our work situation, it's important to acknowledge, to celebrate things that may not always be cherry, because let's say it's a work situation, you've still put that work in as a team, for yourself. So I think just to really acknowledge what's happening, and always with every milestone, it brings you one step closer to the result that you want. And ways to do this could be evening get-togethers, coffee catch-ups, events such as tree climbing, boating, or go-karting. I haven't tried the tree climbing in recovery. I have gone boating, and for me, that was a learning. I love sailing, and my nervous system isn't ready for it right now. I find it a little bit too frenetic, so that's not something that unfortunately has brought me joy, and that's the racing side of sailing. So, and it really is about whatever works for you, but just ways that you can celebrate the milestones as you go through active treatment, as you go through recovery, in your life. So some other things that really, got really clear on as I went through this whole process is the importance of clear communication. We can't expect people to read our minds and to, know what's right for us. We're all wired differently, and that's okay. You're 100% okay as you are. I'm 100% okay as I am, and they are also entitled to be who they are. So communicate clearly what, our reality is. So a couple of things that came up for me where I needed to communicate clearly, and I'll talk about boundaries as well, is I had a I have a dear friend, and she's a beautiful, sweet, gentle person, and she was not dealing with my diagnosis. And she said to me, she goes, Caro, you've been through so much stress. You've been going through so much. Stress causes cancer. The stress has caused your cancer. And, this was not what I needed to hear. And I actually said that back to her. I just said, look, I know that you love me. I know that you're scared. I'm scared too. But please, this isn't helpful. What would be helpful would be if you could, just really be there, for me. So again, I needed to communicate that clearly. In recovery now, I love how excited people are for me, and I'm certainly very happy to be out of active treatment. And it's, you know, it's not a walk in the park either. So I will let people know that. I will say, I am so happy to be cancer-free, and I'm going through, and for me, it's going through stuff with letrozole, and now, you know, we're trialing exemestane. So it's about communicating clearly what our reality is, and we don't necessarily have to look for agreement. This is your reality. This is what's right for you, and let others know how you want to be supported. It's different for everybody. You know, and my process was very much crowdsourcing. That's not right for, for everyone else. Somebody else may want to be more private about it, and you're entitled to do that. It's really beneficial to let people know what is right for you, how you want to be supported. Just want to touch on setting boundaries. This was a recent family trip post-treatment up to Fiji to celebrate my sister's significant birthday, and then my 3 darling great nephews there. So I had to put them in. So setting boundaries are about inform, request, insist, and leave. So how that looks, like I used the example before with the friend that was like, oh, you've been so stressed, it's caused you cancer. I informed them. Now, 9 times out of 10, people will respect the boundaries, and you may not need to go through all 4 steps. How, those 4 steps could be in one conversation. It could be over time. Like if somebody's consistently late, that's likely to be over different occasions. So you inform them. So I let her know, look, that's really not helpful. If she'd carried on, I would have said, look, please, could you please stop? I'm not finding that helpful to me right now. Then the 3rd step is insist. So you could say, look, I really am insisting now that we stop this conversation. And if somebody still continues, it doesn't mean that you throw your arms up and, run out in a cloud. You just sort of say, look, I'm going to stop this conversation. I am going to put the phone down, or I'm going to walk out of the room, and, let's catch up again when we've cleared the air. Now, with each of those steps, it's really important to use what we call charge neutral. And that's, your tone is like mine is. It's not carrying all the emotion, the anger, the frustration you may be feeling. When we do that, it can be harder for somebody to hear us, and it becomes more about the emotion. If we want someone to stop their behavior, by using charge neutral, and tonality accounts for, I think, 33% of the communication model. 7% is words, so very small amount, and then the rest is body language. So tonality is our power tool. And by using charge neutral, and with each step, you might have a little bit more of an inflection, but you're still in that lower register, that neutral register, that allows people to hear you, hear what you're saying. Another very big thing that I learned was that 2 opposite things can coexist. And it first started when I was told by the surgeon. He was saying, we're sitting there, my sister and I, and he goes, well, you have a good breast cancer. And I'm like, oh, okay. He said, oh, but it's very aggressive. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was like, well, which is it? Is it the chicken or the beef? Is it the chicken or the beef? Which one was it? And it was both. It was treatable. And it was a treatable cancer, so that was the good, and it was growing fast. And if it got into the lymph nodes, which, sadly it did. So that was the first time I really got a sense of 2 things can coexist. The second big one was when I was on the radiation table. It's my final step in active treatment, had 3 weeks of it, and I was absolutely miserable on the radiation table. I was just feeling so unhappy. And this is the thing, I was delighted, sorry, back to the radiation. I was happy to be at that final stage of active treatment, but I was just exhausted. I'd been through over 12 months. I just wanted it over. Didn't want to be here. And those 2 things coexisted. Now I'm in recovery. I am delighted to be cancer-free. I am so happy. And honestly, I am still having some struggles in recovery. So for me, it reinforces that things, in life are not always black and white. And, opposite things and situations, feelings can coexist. And by understanding that, by me, like for all of us, by understanding that, it can help reduce our stress and allow us to flow more easily. I realized that I was more of a black and white person. I always thought I was quite kaleidoscope, but I was more black and white, that it was either or. And I learned that, hey, those two things hang out together. I'm on the radiation table, delighted that this is the last step, and I'm miserable. I'm so happy to be cancer free, and I feel like I need a railing to get up and down off the toilet due to the letrozole. So it's those two things are legitimate, and it's not either or. Another big learning was to choose where to put your energy, or put my energy, put your energy. So I got really clear that having survived breast cancer and the magnitude of it, the rigors of our active treatment, I just got crystal clear that I have not survived all this to now put myself in situations where I'm not treated with kindness and respect. It is an absolute firm line in the sand for me. So I'm more discerning in what and who I will put my energy into. I'm very lucky that I have a wonderful, family and friends. And, as life, as always in life, there was a couple of people there that were not showing me kindness and respect through this. So, it's not like I cut them out. It's just that I am very careful about how often I expose myself to them. So ask yourself, is this a good use of your energy? That's what I ask myself. Is it a good use of your energy? And also ask yourself, what do we gain? What do I gain by sweating the small stuff or getting involved with other people's issues? So again, having gone through this, it's really helped clear my plate with what I will engage with. And on that same vein, it's like choosing where you put your energy, knowing that you can't play tennis alone. And I think this is such a good analogy. I'm certainly somebody that I think, oh, I've got this issue with this person. So what can I do differently? How do I need to change? How can I make this happen? And it was actually a good friend of mine who's a clinical psychologist who I was chatting to about a particular situation I was going through. And they said, do you think that this other person is putting as much energy into trying to resolve this as you are? I'm like, no, absolutely not. And then it's like, well, it actually, if we want to improve a relationship, it does take two, and both need to be conscious. And here I was trying to do that myself. So it's really about understanding that we cannot play tennis alone. And if someone isn't respecting your boundaries, they fall, they become victim to you when you do set boundaries, they gaslight you. It's best to not engage with them. And to do that, it's about recognizing they're not going to change. They are who they are. I realized with the situation I was going through, I actually really wanted that person to change, to be what I call a better person. Who am I to suggest somebody could be a better person if they change? Just know that they won't change, and to tap out emotionally. When we don't expect anything from them, and we just know that that's the way it is, we tap out emotionally, and we can choose how often we engage or not. So again, it's not like you have to end anything. If it's a family member, it doesn't mean that you don't see them anymore. It's just really by tapping out emotionally, it actually makes it a lot easier to be around that person. So managing recovery. As many of you that are listening to this that are in recovery, you would know that it's not all over when active treatment is over. Excuse me, my nose is running a bit there. I still hoped it might be, and that I'd bounce back. And it is tough. So it is about being kind to ourselves, and that kindness is in our self-talk, our expectations, and and making sure we rest. So for me, a big one has been letrozole. I thought I was doing really well, and 6 months into letrozole, so I went through some mood swings, but largely doing pretty well. It's pretty much 6 months that the pain just really started to kick in, and I'm thinking, yeah, I've got to keep going. I'm on this for 10 years, and could employ my sense of humor to a certain degree. And it was like, making what I called old lady noises, getting, out of the car or off the couch. When I really wanted that railing to get on and off the toilet was when my sense of humor failed me. And, I spoke to the oncologist about that. And, I did go through, well, you know, why, what can I do? But really it was the medication, and the oncologist was incredibly supportive. The other thing with, when we're in recovery that can be quite jarring is that the people around us have moved on. They're so pleased that we are cancer-free when we're in recovery, and if that's, your prognosis. And they have largely put a big part of their life on hold to be there for us. So they have now moved on, and that is actually okay that they have, because they do have to get on with their lives. Same with the medical fraternity. They're focused on people going through active treatment. I recommend that we communicate to educate. As I mentioned before, I'll say to my friends, because they're like, oh, isn't it wonderful? You're through, active treatment, you're cancer-free. Oh, you must be so happy. And it's like, yes, I am. I am really happy. And it's, hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy career-wise either. It's just, I haven't felt like I'm firing on all cylinders. With the letrozole, I need to rest. With everything I've been through, there is some, PTSD. So it's really about, I'm kind to myself, I look for solutions, and, I communicate to others, and advocating for yourself. So I'm really clear on this, where if symptoms are related to adjuvant treatment, so like the letrozole, and exemestane and that, go to the oncology team. If symptoms are not related to cancer treatment, go to the GP. Because something I noticed, and again, I'm delighted with the medical team and they've been wonderful, and I understand that the nurses are acting as gatekeepers, and they would be quite quick. My cholesterol went up, first of all, at the beginning of letrozole, and I've never had high cholesterol. So I contacted them. I'd done my research that letrozole can increase your cholesterol. And they're like, go to your GP. And I pushed back and I said, well, actually, no. This is a medication that's a specialist medication that has been prescribed by the oncologist. I don't think it's reasonable to expect the GP to then pick that up. I said that if my cholesterol continues to climb up, that can create additional health issues for me. And then it becomes, what is the lesser of the two evils, the letrozole, or the hormone stripping medication, or the cholesterol. That got me an appointment very, very quickly. Again, I use logic. I'm very polite and I'm very firm. If it's something else, I go to my GP. So just to round out, what I really want to encourage is to choose joy in what you can control. We're in a situation that is not of our asking or of our doing or what we want in any way. So how can we find joy in ways that we can control? So if you're going through active treatment, you're in recovery, or you're just generally going through a hard time, please say yes to receiving help and support from qualified people. This could be academically qualified, third-party endorsed, trusted family and friends. Ask yourself, where can you find the light? So this is not what's good about this, or things happen for a reason. That, like, give me a bucket. That's like, the things happen for a reason. No, this cancer, don't agree with that at all. This is about finding joy in an area that we do have control over. Could be going for a walk, spending time with pets, seeing adored loved ones. They're clearly the things that bring me joy. And, celebrate the milestones, because it does bring you one step closer to coming out of the other side of whatever difficulty, again, active treatment, recovery, life in general. And please, please, please let go of any shame at being in a difficult situation. Shame, there is no payoff with shame. It doesn't serve us. It makes it harder for us to get through something, and it can leave long-lasting scars. And with that, again, it has been my absolute joy to speak with you, and I'm open to any questions that you have. And again, no shame. Please do not be uncomfortable about asking me anything that may be on your mind. So thank you.
Thank you. That was absolutely wonderful. I really appreciate all your wonderful insights. And I've been sitting here writing down. There's so many things that I've been able to take away for myself and thinking about other people that are absolutely so relevant and so valuable. Now, going to all our wonderful people on the screen, has anybody got any questions that they'd like to ask Caro? Have you got any comments or anything that you'd like to share? We've got a really lovely comment here from Elin. So much of what you said made great sense, and I feel good that I'm using some of the same ways in my journey. So wonderful. Congratulations.
Fabulous. Yay.
Yeah, fantastic. And, that is nice to have that reinforced, isn't it? That,
Yeah, absolutely.
the things, what you're doing. So, look, I absolutely love those 4 tenets. And, maybe, there's others, some of you that will have your own. Look, we've got some wonderful comments in here, and we've got one here. I wasn't prepared for so much emotional trauma, so thank you. So you've been very helpful. And eyelashes, yours must have grown back.
Oh, I'm happy to. I could talk hair and eyelashes. So, the eyelashes. Oh, I'd read on. I'm in a couple of groups, and I wasn't expecting it, but my eyelashes. I use the. I always say it incorrectly. I think it's Bittermaprost or whatever. I use that diligently through treatment, and they're growing back beautifully. Until then, I was doing smoke and mirrors. So pencil here and pencil there from look good, feel better. Thank you. And, they grew back. It's like, yay. And then they all fell out again. So I lost my eyelashes 3 times, and they have grown back now. And they can, now what they do is they can break. I'm not thrilled about that, but, they grow back. My eyebrows after the second time decided to evacuate for, what is it? Elvis has left the building. The eyebrows have left the building the second time. So these are tattooed now, because it's just like they were not, and I used to have quite, okay eyebrows. So it's just like, no, I'm not going to muck around with this. And then with hair, I just need to get my hair done, but I've just used all the hair growing products possible, because my goal is to get my hair long again, because that's just something that I like. For me, the bonus I'm enjoying, I know not everyone does, but I'm loving having curls, because I've never had curls before.
Yeah.
So that's fun, but having curly hair is a whole new world that requires a lot of care.
Another challenge in itself, isn't it?
It is. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. It's just, yeah, but I'm enjoying it.
Wonderful, thank you. And how wonderful and reassuring it's been. Thank you, Marama. Also, another one here from Helena. Thank you, Caro. I enjoyed the presentation, and I especially love find the joy, which is, yes, you're right, it's wonderful. Also, best wishes and much love and respect to Marama Davison, a brave woman I admire, and to all the women present here today. So thank you for the opportunity. Beautiful comments, ladies. Thank you so much. We have one more here. Thanks, Caro. So encouraging to keep going. Accept reality. Be kind to yourself. Follow my intuition. I've also found an exercise physiologist for your Cancer Society and Kongong, and changing my food, connecting with all supports available, etc. So best wishes. So and somebody, Elin, haven't been in touch with the Cancer Society, but it's a wonderful service, and actually get there. And another one from Trish saying thank you. First online group session, very inspiring, and appreciate the sharing. And look, just on that, ladies, and we're about to wrap our session up, but we have lots of workshops online and lots of workshops that Look Good Feel Better offers us. So our next workshop is Sunday, the 20th of October, and it's on essential nutrition with Kylie Russell, who's a registered clinical dietitian. So it'd be really lovely for you to join us. And then we have lots of on-demand videos and podcasts, as well as our other online workshops, chair yoga, skincare, hair care, and all those things. But for today, what I would just like to say is, ladies, if we put our hands together for our wonderful, absolutely fabulous guest speaker, Caro.
Thank you.
You've been absolutely wonderful, Caro. And as I say, there's some fabulous take homes from that. And, you know, really appreciate you sharing your journey, sharing your challenges, and yeah, spending this special time with us. So thank you so much.